This game used to be called Project Eve. It changed names recently. It was presented to us in 2021 at an E3 as a PlayStation 5 exclusive. It's now called Stellar Blade, and it's wandered into some controversy purely because of Digital Foundry and a recent declaration from one of their team about the protagonist and the representation of females in video games. Now, this is huge. There's two sides to this coin. I'm going to explain the whole situation, and you're going to hear from Digital Foundry and see some of the fallout that's come off the back of this situation. The journalist in question is a guy called Alex that works over at Digital Foundry. I want to say this about Digital Foundry. They're kind of one of my original inspirations to start a YouTube channel in the first place. You'll notice that their pans and their technical breakdowns, I try and match that with a lot of my reviews and make sure my reviewers know what they're looking at, how many frames are going past, and what the resolution is. I feel that's imperative to reviewing a video game, and those guys sort of showed me the way on that front. This guy on the left, I kind of hold him in quite high regard. Alex, on the other hand, has always sort of rubbed me up the wrong way. Let's get a listen to what he actually says on Stellar Blade.
The one thing, I know you were talking about the character from a bygone era.
Bygone era? Is that a Bayonetta reference, do you think?
I do think the character model was actually like very distracting in not a good way, because like with the camera angles chosen, it just felt like this game seems like a game that came out in like 2002.
Yeah, 2002. That game in Dark Age. Some of the best shit ever made. It came out 20 years ago in the industry. That's another depressing point we'll get to.
In terms of its, like character design, it's like a bit old and not flattering, I don't think, for a modern audience. In comparison to something like Forspoken.
That could have been the nail, bringing up this godforsaken game, but it gets a hell of a lot worse.
If you can bring them back, and that's a big if.
Which has, yes, it has a much more realistic looking character designs. It's not these hyper proportioned something or another's, but it also seemed, I don't know, a bit more grounded in a way that I found much more appealing.
This is the major point of ridicule for Alex, is that the character is actually modelled on a real Korean model. So this is the pictures of her getting the mapping done. It's all based on an actual female, real autonomy.
From a general standpoint, I do agree with you, but I do think Project Eve, when it comes to facial construction, it does have some merit though, because the characters look very different. It's just that once you go, neck down, there's a lot of issues on
yes,
display.
that's the problem. Yeah, that's the problem.
Oh dear.
It's a huge subject for me. In 2020, I covered Code Vein, and it's got some seriously gratuitous outfits for the female characters and sort of antagonists. The whole thing looks like it's made by Japanese people in Japan for the Japanese. Isn't that a crazy thing? Why would they do that? What's happened is certain Western journalists, they don't like this. They want the female form to be covered, essentially. They want it to be what they call realistic, which isn't something that fits in canon with a manga artist or a Japanese animator. It fits perfectly with this new Western sense of entitlement that says, I want everything my way, and if it isn't, it's wrong. The thing you've got to remember is with Japan, I don't think they really care if a single unit doesn't get sold outside of their country. They're a culture that has been solidified in tradition since the year dot. You go to Osaka and have a look at the diversity range within that city, and you'll realize that it's 0.1. The Japanese love Japan. Isn't that a crazy thing? A crazy thing to think. Made a huge fuss about this, the death of the decent female protagonist. I put a video together. I spoke about Aloy's dumbing down of her sexiness, quite literally, to appeal to a broader audience, and characters like Bayonetta being absolute gold dust in the industry. They are now time capsules. Until a game like Stellar Blade comes along, it's been a long time since we've seen the female form celebrated in such an outlandish fashion, and I welcome it. And I know there's a lot of people out there who would be like, you're a damn weeb, you're a misogynist. Gaming's about escapism, and people can make their video game characters into what on earth they want, particularly down to the developers. It's their business, and if you do not want to get involved with it, don't go anywhere near the IP. Just avoid it. Don't even talk about it. Look at the way I approach Fortnite, Minecraft, and every FIFA game. Recent fad of geekness or nerdiness becoming sort of mainstream and trendy, I'm not handling very well. Just in nothing but an interfering bunch of spoiled, ill-informed people trying to meddle around with something they don't understand. Alex is looking decidedly daft at the moment, and this is a bit of a win for people who don't want to see the industry be polluted with politics. Then you might think, Coop, why are you so hung up on this? Why is this such a passion for you? It leads into something huge for me. A lot of people know this, but I'm an art student. I went and studied fine art for 2 years, sculpting and painting, and I got very into the Renaissance, the French sort of turnaround with nudity, the human form, life drawing and celebrating one of the most amazing organisms on the planet, the human body. It's unbelievable. It's not a single straight line on the damn thing. It's a hell of a difficult recreation to manage, both in sculpt or in painting. It really is a engineering piece of genius, and it should be celebrated. When you look at European history, you'll realize that the Moors or Islam or Muslims actually invaded Europe and got right up to Spain. And the idea of that religion, and most of them, is to cover up or be ashamed of the female form, put it under clothing and make sure it's hidden. A lot of the pushback on that is that it's a sign of respect, and that once women get to a certain age, they shouldn't be presented, to men in public. And yeah, I more than strongly disagree with that. You've only got to have a French girlfriend on a beach trying to persuade them to keep their top on. You will soon realize that European liberalism in the direction of the female form is a very precious thing. You look at other countries all over the world and you see what these poor women have to wear when they walk around the streets, and then we get a journalist like Alex trying to push us back 500 years. You can take a running jump, mate.
세상의 도시들은 모두 예비처럼 폐허가 됐어. 잘나신 분들은 우주로 달아나고.
Let's get back to Digital Foundry, and I think this situation has probably given them the clear message that they should stick to tech reviews and video game content and how it operates. They're an amazing bunch of guys when it comes to evaluating a video game's performance, and I still look up to them in that direction. So hopefully they'll sort of keep it together going forward, and I don't know, maybe just keep Alex off the panel in future. There's also another sort of issue brewing with localization and translation on a lot of manga and anime. Crunchyroll, one of the sort of head translators has just been caught inserting like binary stuff into the transcript for the English version of animations, and it's just caused uproar. They've been caught red-handed. If you like manga, anime, or even like Ghibli stuff, and you put the subtitles on like you rightly should, because the facial animations, they don't line up. No one takes the time to really sort that out. Never put the English dub on. If you really love that medium, you learn that language, you have those subtitles on, and you show these people the respect they deserve by teaching yourself Japanese. How many Japanese nationals speak really good English? Would blow your mind. I was, of course, Couch Coop. I will see you down there. The link to the strong female protagonist video is in the description. Please have a look.